You never know. There might be. Anything is possible.
As a not as meta game level, I'm expecting everything to go south on this completely.
Well, I have RK with me, so he can be my gunner, and I
Yeah.
trust him.
It's true. He could actually shoot.
I
That's
would.
the thing with the close call having a pilot, a secondary pilot slash gunner, and a mechanic on board. I feel like we have a pretty good ace in the hole.
How many does it have? Two weapons emplacements, or is it
Yes.
just one? Okay.
It is
So-
two separate ones.
And this is again not Zian. This is the player saying this, but whatever we get into what we're doing, definitely should have somebody in both of those at
Yeah.
both of those weapons controls. Because there's a fun fact about this system is that starfighter class vehicle class weapons do 10 times the damage that regular weapons do when it comes
Yeah.
to like people. If like a starfighter class weapon is shooting at a person, it does 10 times the damage.
Correct.
Minutes to meet.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, so we got that all sorted out.
So is it time then for you to go make your message back to
if we don't have anything else to nail down, I think we've got a pretty solid plan. I mean, we could always figure out, because something's probably going to go south. We should see what we can plan for when that happens.
Do we need a code word for if we need to handle something violently?
Yeah. What's a good code word?
Ewok? Just dash.
What's that?
I think I heard they're like kind of like these native creatures from what was that freaking planet that the Ewoks are from?
Andor.
Endor.
Jax thinks about it for a bit, and he goes, "I don't think we need a code word. A code word is if we want to throw down. We're not going to be throwing down. We're the intermediaries here, right? If something happens, it'll be because one of those parties aggressed on the other, and if that happens, I think Kin and I's first job will be to make sure that like us and Xian are okay, and then we can make an assumption based off of who does what in order what we're gonna do. But like we're just there. My only goal from here is to have the meeting go successfully, but that comes down to Xian and them having their conversation.
Yeah.
Me and Kin are just there to make sure Xian gets out of there okay.
I think we should have. I think we should have the ship in a location that can get to our negotiations within a matter of minutes, if possible. In case it goes south, in case we have to evacuate.
Yeah, that's the plan. I don't know. As a player, I don't know the like re-entry times and if they're in space, how quickly they can get to the surface and shit like that.
It definitely would take some time if they were in orbit or anything.
All right, well then they shouldn't be in orbit. They should be in, I don't know, whatever they should be in. But I agree with what he's saying.
Could have them be just parked somewhere within close proximity with everything ready to go, or flying around. I don't know what local air traffic laws are.
So there's actually there's a lot of congestion, right? Because it's Coronet.
Yeah.
So it's the capital of the largest of Corellia, which is the largest spaceship manufacturer in the galaxy. So yeah, there's quite a bit of traffic. So it would be easy to like get lost in that traffic if you needed to.
That being said, like when Jax is scouting out locations, he's gonna be looking for a location that's more on the outskirts of the city, maybe like a warehouse, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's thinking somewhere like a warehouse that doesn't have many buildings around it that are taller than it, and like everyone meets on the roof of the warehouse.
Yeah, you're looking for something
Like-
exposed a little bit, perhaps.
Open and exposed, but also not vulnerable to like someone having set up a sniper or something like that.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
Jax has done his fair share of shady deals, and he knows what he would do if he was trying to bugger someone up, and
Exactly.
he's gonna try and make that harder, while at the same time make it easier for us to try and feel like we are in control.
Yeah.
I want the code word. What if someone attacks us by air? Or tries to attack us?
Well, yeah, I
air
think
unit.
that's why you guys are there, right? Like, I think that's why you have a gunner and a mechanic and already maybe in the air.
Well, I know she says that we don't need it, but what if we get attacked and we want to let them know that someone decide to be cheeky and attack?
You're not in the room with us though, so you don't need a code word. You can just calm us and say they're fucking attacking us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey
that's
guys, the ship is under attack.
Yeah.
Alright, I could do that. But code words are fun.
If you want to have a code word, you need to give us 2 code words. One for if you're being attacked by Janice, and one if you're being attacked by... Actually, you need 3. One if you're being attacked by Janice, one if you're being attacked by some randomers, and one if you're being attacked by Zul'San.
Ewoks, Gungans,
I can't wait to make one of them make a roll to remember whatever code word you use.
Bro, I'm writing this down. Jax is prepared.
Alright. So
Like
I'll
copious
say
notes.
Ewoks is for Janice, Gungans is for Zul'San, and what would be a
This
third
joke is fucking
thing?
far.
Kawaki and
It's not a joke. I'm serious with this.
No.
what? Kawaki and monkey lizards are things.
Yeah.
How about
not
Gan?
saying it's not- Yeah. What?
Gan, Gan.
Yeah. What's Gan?
Here, I'll show you a picture.
It's a type of alien. Do we care?
Yeah, it's one of the aliens.
Oh.
Since I was trying to keep it on theme for you.
And Gan is just rogues or neutral rogues that are trying to fuck us up.
Unidentified.
Not Janice or Zul'San.
Yeah, or unidentified, right? Like, I don't think they're gonna. I think that if they attacked you in space, they're not gonna come in screaming like, "We're from the Janus Corporation." You know what I mean? And if they do, that's probably suspicious. Like,
they might have.
they're probably not.
They might have like IFF.
Correct. Yeah.
Whatever they're called.
They
and,
might have IFF that says
like
it. Yes.
logos and stuff.
Correct. That would definitely be the way to identify it.
Okay, so Dash says whoever wants to take it takes it. Ewoks is Janice, Gungans is Zul'San, and Gan is third party. Just being cheeky bastards trying to raid me.
Now I know the 3 races of aliens I need to insert into the upcoming scene.
Oh,
No
shit.
Gungans. Oh no.
The only Gungan on Corellia happens to be
The only
Janus's
Gungan. Yeah, it's
personal
actually
bodyguard.
personal lieutenant is a Gungan. Misa Gungan. Just gonna do that voice. the whole
Fucking
time.
Jar Jar's
Great grandson. Yep.
Apparently
This might be a bad time for the party to figure out that Jax is actually secretly mega racist against Gungans.
Yeah, exactly. Seems correct.
So I know we're here to mediate a conversation, but just gun down her bodyguard.
Dash says Gungan.
This
Jax
is for
will
my
call
childhood!
Okay, cool. So, the group of you are going to. So we're gonna. Let me just see if I can give a recap here, so we can get started with all this stuff. We're going to have a. We're gonna make a message to send to both parties, detailing the plan that they need, the part of the plan they need to know about. So that's gonna be a task. We're gonna find a location for the meeting and also possibly for the ship, if it's not just going to be cruising around in the area. And then we need to deal with any like counter offers from these two individuals about the messages, right? Because they may want the things their way and may want to negotiate a certain way. And then from there we move into execution of said plan. I think those are kind of the four things we have going on. Does anybody else think they have something that they may need to prep for, or maybe like once if we find a location, maybe then we can do a couple of different things?
Yeah.
So I think that the first and most important one though is going to be to making this message, creating this message for Zul'Zan and Janus Corp. So I throw it back to Zian here because I think that you've kind of taken the lead on this. What's going to be detailed in these messages to both parties? Because you'll need to inform both parties, obviously.
So
sorry.
To both parties, it'll include the general plan, the idea of a hostage transfer, meeting at a neutral location, how many people are allowed, one vehicle, Janus for Janus and Hankar for the other faction, 2 supporters of some sort, no heavy weapons allowed, come in good faith to negotiate, whatever, blah blah blah. Specifically to Zul'Zan will explain the eats of the meeting, how talk to her, she's agreeing to this as long as we can prove that the subject is alive, so we need that. The idea that we're going to pick up the hostage and hold him with us until the transfer actually happens to show neutrality.
Sure.
Is there anything else that I'm missing?
Feel free to help him out here if you
Yeah.
guys think that he missed anything. Because I am writing all this down. It'd be good to hear my incessant typing. Just to make sure that I don't mess it up.
I think the most important thing is that both parties are aware that the point of this meeting is for them to come to an accord. If they come to an accord, we will deliver the hostage to Lucia. If they don't, we will return the hostage to Zul'Zan. We're not saying we have the hostage now and we're looking after him until everything is sorted. What we're saying is, like, for this meeting, the meeting is you guys come to a thing and then they give the hostage back.
Right.
We are facilitating that, but Lucia needs to know that if a meeting, if they don't come to an arrangement, we're giving the hostage back, and that needs to be a predetermined thing that she's aware of.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we don't want her to think that we've gone back on our word.
Yeah. No. Definitely add that. In the bits specific to her. Just. I think that's really it, and just that, we'll provide some sort of proof of life and.
I think we should just tell Lucia, we're getting involved. We're trying to help everyone out here. Once we tell you we have him and that he's safe, you just need to take us at our word.
I'm concerned that that's she doesn't necessarily have reason to just automatically believe us. So
no, she doesn't. But at the same time, we don't have. We have no need to prove anything to her. If she wants him back, she said that she'll meet with them if she can get him back. We've taken possession of him.
She needs proof. She needs proof that he's
I'm not
alive
cutting
any-
off his finger. I see
No,
where
I'm
this
not
is
s-
going.
No, I'm not saying that. You think Dan's gonna say that? But like, if we don't have that proof, there's no reason for her to come to a meeting
Right.
because she doesn't
Okay.
necessarily know. Okay, that this is on the up and up. What if it's a trap? Like, there's no motivation for her to move forward.
Jax is just cautious about however we give proof. We have to give proof that he is live and well in a way that can be, if we're doing this,
We'll
that
send
he's
a
live and that it needs to be proof that it couldn't have been altered, but also not give away too much information. Like, I don't want her to have a picture of him in our spaceship because I don't know what kind of information she could glean from the picture of the inside of our spaceship. And like,
we
even
can send a courier droid with a message recorded from him. I'm sure they've got some sort of code word to
yeah, no, that's
not being
a
coerced.
good show. It's a good
Yeah,
show.
like say the one thing that nobody else would know, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of scenario.
Yep.
That's usually the best in these sorts of situations.
Yeah.
You're
So
speaking
we
from
can
experience, Jordan.
record that.
Real life.
Yeah, you can make it a message, or you could even make him a hologram. You could do the newspaper thing, right? Where if he's a hologram and he like holds up a newspaper or equivalent,
Yeah.
with the date on it. That's also a thing that you could
Yeah.
have happen.
We'll
And
do
that
one of those.
that's certainly not a thing that would be hard either, because that's in the best interest of both people.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you don't want to just like show up at the casino where Janice works, and is like, "Hey, by the way, here he is. Now you've seen him. We're gonna leave," because that shit
Yeah,
won't
no,
fly.
that's a bad idea.
No, it's Jax is more like whatever we send, he wants to make sure that whatever we get sent cannot be traced back to us, and because right, we're docked at a spaceport, and we're probably gonna dock back at this spaceport later, and we just. He just wants to try and keep as much information about the party and where we chill and everything.
Mouse could
to a
probably
minimum.
make sure that's like gets rid of all of the any sort of identifying features of a wall or whatever.
Yeah.
Could just, if we do a holo, it could be filmed up against like a Durasteel wall that's going to be the same looking Durasteel wall as every.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a thing that you... Cool.
But I think are we good?
Yeah, so just to recap, real quick. One vehicle, Janice and Henkar have to be in attendance. They can bring 2 additionals. No heavy weapons, sidearms only, basically.
Yep.
And then specific for Zulzan, coordinate some type of proof of life, and also convince them that you will hold on to the hostage.
Yep.
And then specific to Janice, making sure that she is aware that the hostage will be returned to Zulzan if negotiations fail.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that seems great and pretty cut and dry to me. So it's time to make some rolls, some first rolls of the session here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna look at Deanne here specifically first. And I think that it's gonna be a negotiate here. That's a skill in this game, right?
Yep.
It's gonna be a negotiate. I am gonna add a blue dice though, because you had the assistance of the crew to just help you build this thing, and then you have time as well to kind of like prepare what you're gonna say. It's not like an in the moment, so I'm gonna add a blue dice for that, certainly.
Okay.
But I am also gonna add a black dice for the fact that you're sending all this kind of as recordings, so it's harder to like judge the room because you're not actually in the room. Now you can choose to try and eliminate that black dice, but it's going to require us going and having another specific in-person meeting with both of those people, which may cause other issues.
Can I also just remind? At the end of last session, we did I did a perception check assisted by the group, to try and figure out what was up with Lucia.
Yeah.
And we didn't succeed, but we rolled a whole buttload of advantage.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's just in my notes. In my note, it just says.
And I remember that roll, and specifically, it was going to mean that the locations that you find are going to be as if you had rolled like an extra success.
Okay. Cool.
Like that's how good the because I had to figure out a way to put it mechanically.
Yeah.
So I'm basically going to convert all of those advantage that you roll on that perception to give when you go to roll like the locations, you just get one additional success.
Cool.
And then with the Zul'Zan, like I'll mention that we'll be coming in person to
collect.
To collect. So
Sure.
anything that needs to be brought up will be brought up.
Sure.
After they kind of receive this, and then like calm us that it's okay to come or whatever they're gonna do. So
let's see if you can flex your negotiation muscles.
We're also, I think it's gonna be trying to seek guidance from the Force on this one too. So we'll do that.
Okay, yeah, that seems important. Yes. It is an average check, just so you know. It's not like you guys have come up with a fair plan. I think for
that's
both
fine.
parties.
I want more triumph chances.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you go ahead and make a negotiation roll? It's all set up.
3 triumphs. Negotiation done.
I can't get 3 triumphs. That would be a really impressive roll, though.
We're good. Okay. So I think that
that should be a reroll. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened.
Well, I think that
Well,
is
it's a
actually
failure.
Yeah. So technically, it's a failure, right? Technically, like each side is going to have problems with your plan. Is essentially
but it's
what
an
that
opportunity
is.
for further negotiation.
Correct. Yeah. So it's going to be an opportunity for further negotiation, and it may like get into the point where sides are counteroffering and something's delayed, or maybe you have to concede a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
On one part of your plan due to the failure. But you also didn't like gain a whole bunch of threat or anything negative outside of that. So I think that it's just it's like breaking negotiation with like for the first time with a group of people. Like everybody's gonna be a little bit reserved and be a little bit on the fence about a lot of things. So I think that simply for Zul'Zan, they send back that they have no issues with any of the terms, with the exception of they seem very unwilling to give up control of the hostage. That's kind of the obvious one here, and the one that you probably expected to be the most difficult one. But they actually also give some kickback as to the fact that they don't want to know where the meeting place is, and in particular, they don't want Janice to know where the meeting place is. They want
they're not getting it
until 20 minutes before, because they actually have to get there.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, they say that like we don't want to be driving ourselves there. We want transportation provided for us, so that we can be sure that we and Janice don't know where we're going.
I'll counter with we'll do transportation to the meeting place, after which they have to get themselves back, as long as we get the hostage.
Okay. Yeah, and there's probably like a moment of there's probably the we'll discuss further when we see you. You should come meet with us. Is probably like the response to that. Janice, on the other end of things, surprisingly perhaps to you, Zian, has no problems with any of the terms, including the one where Janice shows up herself.
I figured it could go either way on that one.
Yeah, but I think that...
Do you think she has an advantage over everybody? Stupid necklace.
Yeah, I think that her biggest thing is there's probably like a message that comes in from her that says that she likes the idea of the hostage being in your possession, but she politely, like, it's one of those things where she politely reminds you, Zian, that first rounds of negotiations never finish the way you want them to. Kind of as a duality statement of, this is obviously not going all according to plan. and she says that she would prefer if the hostage remained in your possession until final negotiations are made.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, I think that's what we were intending for it to.
right.
Like,
So
as long
like
as negotiations are ongoing, we'll hold on to them.
right. So she implies the fact that there may need to be multiple meetings.
Mhm. Okay.
Even with the both here, and it's a delay tactic, right?
Right.
It's the moment of how desperate are you versus how desperate am I?
Yeah.
And who
And
is
gives
going
her a possibility to find our ship and try and take him by force.
right, that, or also gives them a like eventually if they get frustrated, right, and then they act in hostilities because they're frustrated, it gives her the advantage.
Yeah.
So I think you can tell already like where Janice is going with this is
Yeah.
she believes that she can outlast them.
Yeah.
And so it's very clear that she's basically letting you know, she kind of hinted to the fact that she's going to try and drag it out. And that's why she wants the hostage. But I think that even though you didn't roll advantage, I'm going to give you one thing that slips here. The message from her includes a name. Because instead of using like the hostage, she actually says an individual's name, and his name is Romano.
Ray?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what?
It's actually his first name, Romano. And you know, she probably plays the I would feel a lot more comfortable if they were in your position. And like probably at the end it's like you at least seem trustworthy, like specifying you, Zian. At the end of the message that she sends back. So
okay.
That's
with the guy. Jeez.
That's the only counter that Janice has.
So
there still may need to be a like an in-person negotiation done when you get there for Zul'Zan. But Janice seems
okay.
Okay.
And then I'll figure out like whoever's not going with me to pick up from Zul'Zan can go and set up like some speeder rentals.
Yeah, I think that ties into Jax. You wanted to try and find a location. Which technically you need to find two locations, right? You need to find a location for the meeting. Yeah, you want to find a location for the meeting and then a location for the ship. Unless you could always, like I said, you could always go with the plan of like the ship is simply just flying around.
Is there something else that can be sorted out first? Because my girlfriend just got back. I want to sort out.
Sure.
Probably do negotiation.
Sure. Yeah, we could.
Just like an extra 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I'll be listening, but
we can go into the fact that you have to travel. That Zian's gonna have to travel to Zul'Zan again.
Yeah. We'll probably need either to get a speeder already, just so that we don't have to rely on like taking the hostage with their guys to our ship.
Right.
So maybe Dash can come along.
And... So the other complication here, Zian, is you don't actually know where their base is. So I think that they probably say to you in like a series of messages that they're gonna send somebody to come pick you up.
Okay. And I'll say that's fine, but we'll take whatever we resolve this and take the hostage. We'll go to a third neutral location that Dash can meet us at.
An undisclosed location where the ship can come and pick you guys
something
up.
Like that.
Sure, yeah, and I think there's that like kind of that not saying it but not actually saying the like we'll see, right? Because they still are very kind of against that particular clause. But you know, you can always convince them.
Shouldn't I help Jax with the location of where to hide the ship because
you'll be able to do that as well. You'll be able to do that as well for sure. This is simply for this part of the setup here. So I guess then the next question is, Zian, if you get a ride over to Zul'Zan again, Kin and Mouse, which Mouse is probably just going to, for the the near future just kind of be with you, Kin. Would you go with Zian back
I would
to Zulzan?
invite Kin along, respecting his strength and ability as like a bodyguard.
Yeah, Ken would definitely go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we get the scene of you guys are like waiting outside of the ship, and I think a speeder comes up, and you see a kind of disheveled, kind of a scruffy looking guy in like an oily leather jacket on, right? And he's got goggles, and his hair is kind of like windswept, and you recognize him immediately as the guy from the garage that brought you over here, the very first time, when you guys were all attacked by Bloodhawks. Well, mostly when Zian was attacked by Bloodhawks. So he shows up and he kind of looks around and he kind of like whistles through his teeth. He's like, "Mighty fine ship y'all got here."
Dash says thank you proudly.
Well, y'all ready to get on going now?
Yes.
Now let's do this.
Okay, but question. I'm guessing I'm not coming with you. I'm going with my ship, right?
Yeah, so you have to stay on the ship because somebody's got to fly the ship to pick up the hostage if that negotiation goes through.
Yeah, so I guessed correctly.
Yeah.
Well, I say my goodbyes to Zian, Mouse, and Kin, and go into my ship. And,
Alright,
close the retractable latch as I go up to the cockpit, which I'm assuming that maybe RK is up there doing stuff.
Yeah, RK is definitely in the ship somewhere doing something.
I said cockpit specifically, but sure.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's definitely in the ship doing something.
Yeah, I mean, he can't afford to go outside because
Right. So Zian and Mouse and Kin, you all load up into the speeder and you begin your trek through the forests of Corellia again. Zian, do you have any flashbacks of the last time you were in this speeder on the way back?
No flashbacks, but just kind of aware of the surroundings and being prepared for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the driver, he begins kind of talking again, and then like I assume that the demeanor of the speeder is probably a little bit more somber than the last time where you were free and escaping prisonership. Kin, I don't know if you talk a whole lot during the course of the trip.
No, not really.
Okay. So as you all approach the forest, you can tell that you're taking a different route. You actually exited out of like a completely different part of the city even. And you take the route, and luckily for you all, it doesn't end up poorly. And by the time you reach that familiar kind of complex, you can see that there have been some changes in the past couple of days, or like week or so, however long it's been since you guys have been here. There appear to be quite a bit more supplies. As you all know, there wasn't a limited amount of supplies here before, but it certainly they weren't living in luxury, right? There appears to be quite a bit more boxes and containers, and I think that you actually arrive right as there are a couple of individuals who are actually descending from some starships of. I mean, you probably have seen the design before, but I'll just tell you they look suspiciously like A-wings. And there are a couple of pilots, two actually. They fight as they're as like in tandem. There's two pilots that are like descending from there, and there's like a crowd of people around them that are kind of like cheering. And you can see that kind of like taking off as you guys arrive as well appears to be like a larger cargo ship. And so all of this is kind of like a recent occurrence as you guys approach. And the mechanic probably says, kind of offhandedly, just to the world, but loud enough for everyone to hear, he probably says, mighty fine them boys came back. I was thinking we might have to start living off the land for a bit.
I have a sneaky suspicion about those pilots, and I don't like it.
So, you all pull up. Do any of you remark at his comment, or just kind of let it hang there and
So,
keep silent?
the last time we were here, I know Dash was specifically looking for pilots,
He was, yes, and they
but
were
I
not
don't
here.
remember if he was told they didn't have. If it was in game, or you just told him they didn't have more ships.
So yeah, so the tour guide, what was her name? Crystal, I think, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it was Crystal.
She had mentioned to Dash that like all they had really was that like one ship that they had used to like come collect you, which is basically like a, you know, if we had to picture it in our minds, it's like a Clone War era transport ship basically, with like minimal weaponry but like can carry a lot of people and cargo.
Yeah.
And she actually did say to Dash that, like, you know, that's kind of the only ship that we really have running. Like, we don't have a whole lot of resources or anything like that. So it's possible these are not Zul'Zan. Possible they're someone else. But also, you know that even you guys who are technically, you know, working with Zul'Zan don't even know, like, you know what the base looks like, but, you know, trying to figure out a location, triangulate it on Corellia would be even harder. Although I'm sure you could do it if you tried hard enough. But these guys are welcome. You can tell that they're being welcomed like old friends, right? They're not like just delivering stuff and then leaving. That makes sense. So
Kim will ask, have you acquired more ships?
Yeah, and I think he kind of like the mechanic guy. He kind of like puts his arm on the like the center of the speeder, and he like turns around and is like driving without looking at this point. So Zian, if you're in the front, you're probably like, watch, there's a thing there, and he like avoids it with kind of like seemingly no knowledge of its presence beforehand. But he turns and he looks at you, Ken, and he says, nah, there's just some boys that have been helping us out, bringing us some supplies every now and then. We don't see them too often, but it certainly had been a while since we've seen them last.
Can I see if I recognize the ships? Any markings?
Yeah. Can you make me a... They're pretty, like, you can see them pretty well, so it's not a perception here. I think it's actually going to be a lore roll. Probably. Do you want to identify the type of ship, or do you want to identify the, like,
no,
who it might
if there's
belong to?
any way to identify the group or markings or anything.
Yeah. Why don't we make me a Core Worlds roll?
All right.
Lore Core. Let me set up the... Oh, I forgot to do that. I almost fucked that up. It's going to be average difficulty.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Hey, look at that.
Hey.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, so you actually can identify that the ships, they appear to have, or it appears that they used to have markings on them, from an older, like an old outdated version of a Commonwealth logo, which is the reason for the actual roll, because it's not the current Commonwealth logo. It's kind of like the one before the redesign. So with that knowledge, armed with that knowledge, I should say, you can probably identify the fact that these are like discontinued ships, or like ships that were slated for retrofitting, or perhaps, you know, deconstruction. But I think distinctly outside of that, they don't have any really identifiable markers, which could be good or bad, right? Like, maybe they are just freelancers that acquired some ships at, like, you know, a ship auction, which I'm sure is a thing that happens. You know, like when like the police, when they auction off all of their old vehicles because they got new ones. That's kind of like what this deal looks like.
Okay, so I inform Sia that these are ex Commonwealth ships.
Might want to even inform
I
me.
just kind of ask, like, what's the significance of that? Anne doesn't know.
Probably nothing. But
Okay.
it could mean they are getting help from someone
Okay.
inside.
Violet, goddammit.
So
Dash would know.
now you could still like comms dash. You're within range to do that. But that's up to you.
I don't feel it will be the right time.
Yeah.
You might be a little preoccupied to be
we'll
doing all that.
can, like file it as like when we get a chance.
File
later.
it in the ask dash later category. Okay, cool. So as you arrive and you pull up,
I'm good whenever, by the way. Thank you.
cool. There to greet you are two individuals. One is Henkar, obviously, and another one is a large Duros that you don't recognize. And as you pull up, the Duros kind of like looks you over, and you can see Henkar like kind of like puts an arm on his arm, and then just like shakes her head. And the Duros, you can tell, like visibly relaxes at that point. And she kind of like waves him off to like, I'll be with you in a moment. I gotta talk to these guys. And the Duros kind of walks off. He's wearing like a flight suit as well. Perhaps a pilot of some sort, or mechanic. And he proceeds off, and as you walk up, Henkar greets you warmly with a smile. She's like, "Greetings. It is good to see you all again. Welcome back to our humble abode. I am glad that you agreed to come meet with us. Negotiations are going well, I hope."
They seem to be. There's a couple sticking points there, but we'll work through it.
Good. Here, let me bring you into my office, where we can speak more freely. And she gestures for the three of you, Mouse and Kin and Deanne, to all go with her. And she leads you through the facility. Again, you recognize it's kind of that like a lot of it is kind of underground because this outpost itself is kind of set against a large cliff. So a lot of it looks like kind of undergroundish area. In fact, here is that it? Yeah, there you go. And you can see like the roots of trees that are up above, kind of lacing their way down through the stone walls. And she leads you through the corridors and eventually into an office location, where she beckons for you to sit down, and she sits down at the other side of the desk, and she says, "So, let's get straight to business, shall we? What exactly are the assurances that we have?"
From who? Us or Janice?
From you, of course. I assume that the message that was sent to us was similar in its content for the Janus Corporation.
Yeah. There's a few things specific to them, but there were also a few things specific to you. Like we said, our intention is to help facilitate a meeting between the two factions. As long as the meeting is going well and progressing, negotiations, our intention is to hold on to the hostage as a third neutral party so that nobody has an advantage in these discussions. That will be there to hopefully mediate, but both parties are going to have to agree to whatever. Both of you guys are going to have to hash out your differences, and we'll be there to, act as the third party mediators. But aside from that, it's your guys' responsibility to hash it out. If things get sorted out, we'll make sure that there's some sort of record of your negotiation. We'll deal with Janice and the hostage, and we'll all go our separate ways.
A cat leaps into Henkar's lap and she begins petting it as it meows.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but
Really leading to stereotypes. I love it.
So I think Henkar like nods in agreement. She says, "Yes, I think that would be, well, perhaps the best way of doing things. There is a problem with it, however. This prisoner that we are holding, I am not so certain that he wants to go back. If I could be straight with you on this point."
Oh, god damn it! Why now? Why the cold feet?
I mean, that's all well and good, but this whole situation is because of this individual. You guys kidnapped him. She wants him. You have a bargaining chip for her to get her to the negotiation table, which is something you have told us is all you want to do.
Yeah, and I think she says, "Well, I certainly have no problem with it, but yeah, perhaps it would be easier if I just showed you."
Okay.
And you can see like she begins typing on a computer, and she brings up a like a hollow recording, and you can see that it is a hollow recording of a looks like a small cell-like room, similar to what you were held in for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And you can see that Henkar is seated with two of the like antiquated battle droids next to her, and you can see like lying on the bed, kind of with his ankles crossed and his hands like interlaced behind his head, laying on the bed. You can see an individual who appears he's I would say if we were scaling attractiveness on a scale of 1 to 10, he's probably in the 8 range. Short, cropped, kind of curly hair, dark in color. His skin complexion is very, very dark. And he has a mustache and goatee that's very neatly trimmed. And he speaks with kind of like a lower, like dulcet tone of voice. And he says, "You know, things are different since you have taken me prisoner. My mind, it feels more clear now. Don't know why I would ever want to go back. I'm sorry, but I think that I am no use to you as a hostage." And
Hey,
it's
sorry, can you say that again? Because I didn't hear that part, and I think it's gonna annoy me.
which part of the
What
whole
did
thing?
he just say? No, just like the last thing he said.
I'm no use to you as a hostage.
Yeah, that's what I thought would annoy me. Okay, fine, yeah.
And like I think Henkar like pauses the clip there, and she says, I have heard of individuals being able to manipulate others in ways that I cannot comprehend. Whatever it was, I think that this one, his name is Romano. He may not be as useful as a bargaining chip as you assume. The main reason why we see a problem with you taking him is if the deal does progress forward, and then we are able to speak of returning him, he may not be in the condition in which Miss Janice wants him, leading to perhaps a breach in contract.
See,
I'm glad Jax isn't there right now.
Do you say anything, Zian?
I see and kind of sit back and kind of think about it for a second. Well, we can manage to get proof of life. We can get the word to her to still make the negotiation. and we don't have to explain the situation beyond that.
Yes, indeed.
I'll need to. Either way, I think we'll have to speak with this individual privately.
You gonna?
Yes, and primarily the reason why we didn't want you to take him is because we were actually looking out for your interests in this matter. If there were to be complications with his state of mind, we would rather it fell upon us rather than you.
Well, I think we can keep that in mind and still manage to get a deal worked out. Again, we'll can't make any decisions until we talk to him to kind of assess his situation.
That is something I can arrange. And so she goes to, like, she sets about setting up a meeting for you, Zian, and this other individual. Ken, do you remark at any of this? Is there anything that you bring up during this conversation?
It seems remarkably similar to programming. What has happened to this man?
And if is Henkar still there, or is she left to set things up?
She's probably left to set things up,
Okay.
leaving the two of you.
I'll kind of turn to him and kind of mention, that thing I was talking about at our planning session. That's probably related to this.
Yes, the item.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable going through with this exchange unless this individual has a chance to get away.
And again, no decisions are going to be able to be made until we talk to him. For all we know, that could have been a doctored video.
I agree. Let's talk to him.
Cool, and probably at that moment, like, the door opens up, and Henkar, like, beckons you to follow her.
All right.
And that's probably a great place to take our break.
Sounds
Groovy.
So, when we come back, we'll go with Jackson Dash for a little while to see how their scouting is going, and then we'll meet Romano, and we'll see what his state of being is, and perhaps the complication to the mission that has been revealed.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it was there at the start, so it was just something we didn't know.
Yep.
I don't
Stockholm syndrome. Maggie, just so you know, because Toasty is out,
Yeah.
you need to do the thingy with your name, because right now,
Oh
Jan
yeah, that's a
looks
good
like
point.
yeah.
Good point. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, let's take a break. Let's be back at 5 after. 10-minute break. Sound good, everybody?
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
I mean, I was gonna say Stockholm Syndrome, but then when we put the crystal...
All right. Oh god. I'm so sorry. It's gonna be loud. I'm so sorry. I'm fixing. Oof. There we go. Oof. All right.